Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Western Oregon University. My name is Rob Fittner. I'm the Director of Admissions, and I jokingly say a recovering history major, graduate of Western Oregon, but on a much more serious note, I had a phenomenal experience at Western, have put my degree to use. And so one of my bad jokes is always for students that are thinking about majoring in history, you can be gainfully employed. So I'm a living, breathing example of that. So for our students and their families, we're thrilled to have you here today in person. And of course, you see all the equipment that's set up today. We are also live streaming. So we have students that could not attend in person that are joining us via live stream. And so we have students really not only from the local area, but even as far as international students are joining us via live stream that register for the live stream. So that's really great to see, and we're thrilled to have that opportunity. So that explains all the camera equipment, et cetera, that we can provide this live stream opportunity this afternoon. So what we have planned for you today is to give you what we think are some important updates, next steps as an admitted student, and so that you feel like you're moving in the right direction. Often when I talk to parents, they always say, well, we want to make sure we're not missing anything. Are we missing anything? And we hope that we can address a lot of those questions. But before we move into presentations, those updates, I think it's really important to recognize our admitted students that are here today and to celebrate you, because this is, in my opinion, a big deal. And especially as a father as well, on a more personal note or level, I think it's important to celebrate when it comes to students and taking important steps. So at this time, I want all of our admitted students to stand up, and I think we need to give you a round of applause and acknowledge that you've been admitted to Western Oregon. So for our students, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I think it's important to recognize this achievement. So round of applause for all of our students, if you don't mind standing for just a second. Thank you so much. So as I just shared, we are going to be taking you through some kind of next steps, updates, and there will be time for students and their families to connect with me and my colleagues and to meet individually with representatives, whether that's from Student Success and Advising, from the Financial Aid Office, University Housing and Dining, as well as our current students will be available as well. So I'm going to start with kind of for the admissions update and overview, and really talking about some pieces for fall term in terms of what our plans are as a university. So I'll be starting things off. And I think one question that we're getting quite a bit from students, their families, is kind of what can we expect for course delivery? What does that look like, Rob? Is it primarily going to be in person? Is it primarily online? What is the plan for the university? So I think what I'm pleased to share and the direction that we're moving in is really get back to that in-person experience. Something as a graduate of Western Oregon that I really cherished, really benefited from the in-person experience in those small classrooms we have at Western. So the percentage, that we're projecting is we're looking at that range of about 60 upwards to 70% of in-person instruction at Western. So it's getting back to kind of what we had kind of pre-pandemic. However, we are going to have online options for students in terms of what their comfort level is. But once again, as I talk to students and their families, what I keep hearing is, I want in-person. That's something maybe when I visited Western in the past, or I talked to a representative, or my members of my family graduated from Western, et cetera. They had that in-person experience. So that's what we're trying to get back to. And I think our faculty, as we've surveyed them, feel the same way. They're looking at in-person is really their preference, or kind of hybrid, where you have in-person as well as online, a combination. So that's the direction we're moving in. But as I shared, we want to make sure that we have online options for students in terms of what their comfort level is. So you'll see there's online synchronous and online asynchronous. And so for the synchronous, really that's you're attending a course online, and you know it's certain day or days of the week and certain times you meet as a class with the instructor online. And so you have that, I guess, that kind of assurance that you know the day and the time. You need, and for some students, they really need that structure, right? But there's asynchronous, where there's a more flexibility in terms of the class convening access to materials, getting assignments done, et cetera. It's not really a set day and time, if that makes sense. But once again, what we're really looking at is primarily getting back to that in-person experience, but once again, based on schedules or comfort levels for students, we have some online options. So that's what course delivery looks like right now. And I will share, we'll keep updating this information. We do have a fall 2021 update page on our website where students and their families can go visit just to get updates about our fall plans. As we continue to update information, you'll find that on the website. Now, advising registration, that's another piece as well. Students are asking, when do I get to meet with a faculty advisor or a professional advisor? When will I register for classes? Isn't there a program called SOAR, TSOAR, or I've had another student that went to Western, and I think they came to class or campus during the summer and registered for classes. What does that look like at Western Oregon University? So, transfer students, you will be going through the advising registration process on May 14th, which is a Friday, or May 15th, which is a Saturday. And there'll be designated blocks of time throughout the day. And I think we have some good options, whether it's going to be morning, afternoon, some evening opportunities for you to meet with an advisor, and they're primarily in a Zoom room where you're meeting with a faculty advisor, professional advisor, one-on-one, and then you'll be able to register for courses on the 14th or the 15th. And we will be sending in an email from admissions for transfer students. You'll get an invite to register for one of these dates. Now, if there's a scenario where you just say, gosh, Rob, the 14th and the 15th, it's just not going to work out. I'm not available on either of those dates due to other commitments, obligations, whatever the case may be, you will be able to go through the registration process on the 17th of May. So just a few days later, you'll be able to go through that advising and registration process. And really, you could even set up an advising appointment prior to the 17th, but you'll be able to register for classes on May 17th if the 14th or the 15th just doesn't work for you. We recognize sometimes there can be some conflicts when it comes to dates and times. You will be able to register for the 14th or 15th. That'll open up on Monday, May 3rd. So you will get an email from admissions inviting you to register for one of those dates. Once again, that opens up on May 3rd. So nothing you have to do at the moment. I know we've sent out a save the date email to transfer students about the 14th and the 15th and things opening up on the 3rd. So nothing you have to do at the moment in terms of registration for one of these dates, but just keep that May 3rd in mind and then think about the 14th and 15th and your availability for one of those dates. Now for our admitted freshmen, we have a series of dates that we've established as well for advising registration. So most of those dates are in June, but we also have a July date, July 16th. So similar to our transfer students, you'll select one of these dates and you'll go through the advising process. So as a hypothetical, maybe you are a political science major at Western, that's your intended major, then you'll be meeting with the appropriate faculty member that day to develop your fall term schedule, get your questions answered, then be able to register for classes. So that's for our first-time freshmen, and once again, kind of monitor your email in terms of when registration for these dates will be available. So registration is not available at this time, and we'll give you kind of a heads up. We'll even do a save the date email, etc. So just to be patient with us on that, we want to make sure we share these dates with you. Now we also have what's called the WU Network. And the WU Network, really, it's a virtual platform to where our new freshmen and transfer students can access information, learn more about campus resources, meet other new students as well as current students that are part of our Orientation Plus team. And they're going to be kind of your guides through this process. And the WU Network really is, once again, think of that hub to access that information. So you'll get an invite to join the WU Network, and that'll even kind of lead into fall orientation or new student week. Information will be available, and once again, that's kind of a not only just a summer spring experience, that's even kind of moving you through and getting you ready for the fall as well. So that is the WU Network. So if you see an email about the WU Network, we promise it is not any type of spam, etc. It is legitimate, and we want to make sure you join the WU Network. So we used this last spring, summer, fall, and it worked out really well for our new students. They felt a stronger connection. Yes, it is online, but they felt they could go to the WU Network to access information. We're updating that information, putting out events, etc. All of that is available through the WU Network. Now, we'd love to be able to get back, like today, we have an in-person opportunity. What we hope to do this summer, and this could start in July, is having in-person orientation activities at Western. And once again, we have some tentative dates set aside, established, and then we'll need to make sure that we're following really the appropriate guidelines, protocols in terms of COVID, and what that number would be for in-person orientation activities throughout the summer. So once again, probably looking at July, we'd be starting, having some dates in August as well, and kind of focusing on that orientation to help students and their families in that transition to WOU. So we'll keep you updated as we make progress on these dates, but once again, just wanted to kind of prepare you for that. There could be some in-person orientation activities here on campus this summer. And then our next steps and reminders. So for students that have completed that intent to enroll process, that have given their decision to say, yes, I'm coming to Western, that's fantastic. Thrilled to hear that. And we encourage you to, if you've already completed that process, is to visit our WU Said Yes page. And that's the landing page for admitted students. And so I encourage you to check that out. If you have not shared your decision about the fall, we'd love to kind of hear your decision once you're prepared to do that. We know there's a lot of pieces that need to come together before you're ready to make a decision, but you'll find that intent to enroll link is on the WU Said Yes page, and we've also sent some emails about it, etc. We do have some required documents that we ask students to complete essentially by September 1. So if you're to ask me, okay, Rob, what date should I complete my revolving charge account contract? September 1. If you want to do it earlier, that's great. And the WU Said Yes page actually has the links, so you can actually download and print out a PDF version of the revolving charge account contract, health history form, immunization form is what that should say. But to let you know, the revolving charge account contract is a business office document that every student needs to have on file. And it allows students to essentially pay tuition, fees, other expenses through, the best way to describe it is kind of a payment process or plan. If you're in that position where you're not able to pay your entire bill at the beginning of the term. So that's the revolving charge account contract. Every student must have that on file with the business office. So just a reminder about that one. And then the health history immunization form. You may have had this experience, or families know this for parents, in terms of the K through 12 setting where you had to provide records in terms of immunizations. If a student or your student has any type of allergies, et cetera, you had to share that with the district, with their school. I know I had to do that as a parent with my children. That's an expectation we have here at Western, is our Student Health and Counseling Center will need record of immunizations, and it's that health history form. And if you have questions about that, or you're kind of uncertain about an immunization, is it still valid? Contact our Student Health and Counseling office. They're really good about answering those questions, and that you feel more comfortable in terms of everything is up to date, or if you have questions about the form, questions that are being asked, they're happy to address those for you. So once again, that's the health history form, immunization form. And then transcripts. It's not just necessarily a Western Oregon policy. You'll see this really across the country, is that institutions, for accreditation purposes, we do need, whether you're a high school senior, your final high school transcript. So I want to make sure we got your final senior year grades. We have your graduation date posted. Very important just to confirm that you did graduate, you've earned your high school diploma, you successfully finished your senior year. And then for freshmen that have college coursework, let's say that you're earning credit through a local community college or a four-year institution, we want to make sure we get that college or university transcript as well. So think about, from your perspective, you worked hard to earn those college credits, maybe it's been a financial investment, et cetera, and you want to make sure that admissions, that we get that transcript so we can review that coursework and what we call articulate it, determine how it transfers to Western, and applying that towards your degree at Western Oregon. Now for our transfer students, we do need your final college or university transcript. So I'll use a hypothetical that you're currently enrolled at Chemeketa Community College as a transfer student. Once you're done with your Chemeketa coursework, maybe it's spring term, this current term is when you'll finish, then we do want that final Chemeketa transcript. So we have all your coursework to make sure that you continued your studies in a successful way, et cetera. So we do need those transcripts. And if you're kind of questioning, Rob, who do I reach out to, usually it's the registrar's office at a college, university that's responsible for issuing transcripts. And most likely you've done this already with Western, but we can accept those electronically through the appropriate service, or we still get them in good old-fashioned snail mail every day from the mailroom in terms of transcripts being sent through the mail. But just add that to your to-do list as you move further the process here, is that we need that final high school transcript for our graduating high school seniors, and then college coursework, whether you're a freshman or a transfer, we need those official transcripts. When it comes to advanced placement or AP credits or International Baccalaureate IB credits, we usually get those scores late June, beginning of July is usually when those scores arrive at Western Oregon University, and they specifically go to our registrar's office. So they will evaluate the scores and then determine what credit you're earning from Western based on your AP IB scores. If you're kind of curious, hey Rob, can I look at your AP or IB policy? Is there a way to kind of see what the scoring table looks like? If you were to access our catalog online, the Western Oregon catalog does have our AP and IB policies and how we award credit at Western Oregon. So that's something you can access online through our catalog, just to take a look at that. You're obviously here on campus today for our students and families attending in person, and you may have received communication, but we do have in-person tours that are taking place weekdays and some designated Saturdays. And so if you wanted to return to campus, or if you're joining us via live stream today, that you're planning to visit campus, you can see the top, that we have tours taking place on campus. And the great thing about our in-person tours, it is one family with an ambassador. So you're not with other families at this time. We're thinking about, once again, about health and safety, that we want to make sure that you feel comfortable taking a tour. Once again, that'd be one family and one of our student ambassadors that is touring campus. And so we'll continue, not only in the spring, but throughout the summer as well, we will be offering campus tours. So that is the conclusion of my slides. What I'm going to do is hand off the keyboard and the mouse to my colleague, Ron Mercer from Student Success and Advising. He's going to be giving an update, an overview of student success and advising, again, related areas as well. There'll be some items that are in your folder that Ron will be referencing. General education curriculum. There's a document that has our current version of our general education requirements, as well as course placement. That is in your folder as well. So Ron will be referencing those documents. So I just want to point that out if you want to follow along. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ron.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon. All right, give me a second here. All right. I am Ron Mercer. I'm with the Office of Student Success and Advising. I am an academic success advisor here at Western. So I'll go over preparing for your advising session for TSOAR or your SOAR. We'll talk about placement testing. We'll go over the general degree requirements, and then we'll talk about the general education program as well. We'll talk about how advising here at Western works for all students, and we'll talk about what our office does for students, and we'll briefly talk about some other Western resources that are available to you as a student at Western. So preparing for TSOAR or SOAR, if you haven't already, go into your portal, set up your password. We say write down your username. Your username is actually also your email address as well. And just in case, know your social security. Just have that ready when you sign up for SOAR. So one of the placement tests is the ALEKS Math Placement Test. This is if needed to. If you're planning on going in a major like computer science, any of the sciences, biology, chemistry, or math or education, it is highly recommended you take the ALEKS Placement Test. What this does is that once you have it placed, and then you know your score, you know what math class you can start out on when you register for your fall term. But like I said, though, this is if needed. There are most majors, you just need the one math requirement, and that you don't have, there are some math classes you can take without doing the math placement test. Also have your ACT or your SAT score sent in to Western as soon as you can. Some of those scores we can use you to get placed into Writing 122. if your writing score is high enough. As Rob mentioned, have your advanced placement and your IB scores sent in as soon as you can. Sometimes I know we've run into the past where students, those haven't been sent into Western yet, but if you have a copy of them on hand, please have that ready. The reason is that we don't want you to register for classes that you've gotten credit for through the AP or IB. And any prior earned college credit as well. Please have that sent into Western, or have an unofficial copy with you, so that's something you can talk to your advisor about. Necessary if you accidentally register for a class that then once we had your transcript processed, we can get you into something different. All right. So the other placement testing, we talked about ALEKS placement test, that's as needed. For the second languages that we teach here at Western, if you have experience in French, Spanish, or German, all the placement testing is online. That is through, you would sign up through the respective websites. If you're interested in going to ASL or interpreting, you will have to contact Laura Benke. Their contact information is here on the slide, because that is something that you do one-on-one with them. All right, so the general degree requirements. For a student to receive a degree here at Western, they need to complete 180 credits total. This is a state requirement. This isn't just something we say, like all students have to do. Typically, the general education requirements will make up to about 60 credits. Majors, most majors are about 70, but there are majors that can go up to 90. And then that leaves about a minor or any electives will be about 30. So that's 180 credits total. If you break 180 credits down to 45 credits a year, like 15 credits a term, so if you're doing 15 fall, winter, and spring, that's 45. Times that by 4, that's 180. Sometimes I know that 180 does look a little daunting to a lot of new students. Or we say on average 45 credits a year, because like if you could take a summer class or take a couple of summer classes, as long as you do the 45, you can finish 180 credits in 4 years. This is just an infographic about the general education requirement. As you can see, we have listed first-year seminars. For all new incoming freshmen, first-year seminars are a required class. You just need to take 2. As the name implies, complete that your first year. Foundation classes, ideally, you should start taking those classes. Those would be like writing and math. Your first year, complete that. The exploring knowledge section of our gen eds is an area that students who maybe they're not too sure about their major that they've selected, or they're exploratory, they have a chance to pretty much kind of test out different majors that Western offers while still completing their general education requirement. Typically that will be happening your freshman year and then going into your sophomore year. The integrating knowledge is a new area. These classes are typically upper division, but if you're coming in as a freshman, I would say don't take them yet. Typically that would be the end of your sophomore year, definitely your junior year. And then the major course requirement, there's kind of a misconception that students need to complete their gen eds first before they start their major. That is false. I definitely recommend you start taking your major classes and mixing them through with your gen eds while you're here. Because some majors have hidden prerequisites that you would have to complete before you can move on with most of the classes. So advising at Western, how it works is that advising is mandatory for all Western students, which means that there is a hold placed on your account during the 5th week of the term, which is actually tomorrow for us. It's a reminder to meet with your advisor. Registration starts the 8th week of the term, so you have about 2 to 3 weeks to meet with your advisor, talk about your next term, talk about what goals you would like to have when you graduate, and then the advisor will clear your hold, and so then you'll be ready to go when your registration time starts. Ideally, you should meet with your advisor more than once, but at least you have to meet with your advisor before you register for classes. This helps you stay on track. You want to finish in 4 years, and then also your advisor is your resource to this university. They can connect you to all the other resources on campus, and if once you're planning on finishing, you don't know if you want to start a master's program or getting into an internship, your advisor is a great resource for you to help you get into that next step. So there are different types of advisors that Western has. For students who have declared their major, they will have a faculty advisor, someone who is in that field. Typically, they could be their professor too. They're the experts in that field, and they are a great resource for you when you move on from Western. We do have a few programs here that help students. The Student Enrichment Program, or SEP, that is an additional resource for students who have applied to that program and are accepted. They can connect you to other resources that are available to SEP students. Multicultural Student Services, MSSP, that is another advisor that students, when they apply to the program, they can have as well. It's an additional advisor. And then Academic Success Advisors, that's me and my office. We advise students who are in the pre-nursing program or exploratory students or students who haven't declared their major. Also, we can meet with all students on campus. If you have a general question, you just don't know who to go to, you can always start with us, and we can at least get you connected to the resource that's available to you. So, student success and advising, what my office provides, we help with learning strategies. If there's something that's going on that you're being challenged with, you just don't know what to do, you can always contact us. We also have Circle In. It's a program that Western started or that we are working with last year. It is a virtual study group. We have a YouTube channel. We're uploading a lot of content on it as much as we can. With us moving online, that's pretty much accelerated. We are going to launch a Discord server soon. The idea with the Discord server is just to connect students with each other. The issues that we've seen with students in the pre-nursing program, for example, who are taking human anatomy, if they're taking the online class, they don't know there are other students in the course, and they would like to, connect with other students and form study groups. The idea would be Circle In or a Discord server for that. And then academic success advising. That's the other part of what we do here at Western, is that we will help you with things that's challenging you. For example, we offer tutoring. We have tutoring for most of our gen ed classes and some upper division courses. And the tutors are fellow students. Typically, obviously, they've taken that class before, but they've also typically are also majors in that course as well. We do study skills tutoring, so that's time management, study strategies, note-taking, and test-taking. Sometimes the student can be prepared as much as they can, and once they see that test in front of them, they lock up. We help with that. And then English, the ESL tutoring is our English speaking. For students who English isn't their first language, they help with speaking, your writing, and grammar. This isn't an exhaustive list of resources, but these are some other resources that are available to you at Western. Math Center, Science Center, Writing Center, and Computer Science, they have their own tutoring. So if you are needing tutoring in those areas, you would have to go to them. And it's online here. You can go to wou.edu/free tutoring to get all that information. Student Health and Counseling is a great resource that we have here on campus. They also have their services remote as well. For Office of Disability Service, this is another resource for you as well. They are on campus. If you need help, you can contact them. For students who are receiving veteran benefits, or for veteran students or students who are receiving veteran benefits, the Veteran Support Service is a great resource that we have for students available. They can connect you to other resources, even resources that the state offers for veterans. Service Learning and Career Development, or SLCD, this is a resource that helps you with developing your resume skills. If you're kind of stuck and you're like, I don't know what to do, they can help you with kind of finding that path for you. Like, for example, they offer the Myers-Briggs test. And even after you graduate from Western, they are a great connection for you because they can help you with getting to that next step, finding that, maybe helping you with job placement and interviewing skills. And then Multicultural Student Services, their information, and then the Student Enrichment Program right here. And then for the students who are interested in becoming educators themselves or teachers, we have this Teacher Prep Student Support Services. We are available throughout the summer, and if there's any questions that you have, or like I said, if you just don't know who to start with, you can always contact our office. We are Student Success and Advising. That is our main office phone number right there. We will be available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And then also our main email is studentsuccess@wou.edu. If you have any specific questions you'd like to send to me, my email is mercer.r@wou.edu.
All right. Ron, thank you so much. We'll give Ron a chance to transition out, and then we will have my colleague Kella from the Financial Aid Office will be our next presenter. I know for many families probably have received, or I should say students have received their financial aid award letters. So I know some of that will be covered by Kella and those important next steps. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kella.
Great, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. We're glad to see you here. It's an exciting time, and we have lots of information for you. So if you have questions afterward, I will be in my office next to the lobby, so feel free to step on by. So we'll just go ahead and jump in here. So some of the things that I'll be talking about is your MyFinaid account, action items that you might need to take, review the award letter, just kind of go through that, and then some next steps. So you might be asking, where do I find my financial aid information? And that would be your MyFinaid icon, and that's in the portal. So you want to make sure you're going to wou.edu/portal, and then looking for the MyFinaid icon in the top bar up there. It's a little white $ with the mortarboard on the green background. Once you're logged into the MyFinaid account, then what you're going to see, this is the home screen, and we have a new self-service mobile financial aid process. So if you haven't done that already, make sure that you're setting up your one-time account process. You want to click on the word here, and that will take you into the screen that you need to access to do that. And that's what that looks like. So on this screen, where you'll register, it'll fill in your first name, your last name, your email, and your student ID based on logging into the portal. So that system already knows who you are. Then you just need to fill in your date of birth and social security number, which should match your FAFSA application. If you have problems registering your account, then there may be something different between what you put in this screen and what's on your FAFSA application. So make sure and double check that. At the bottom, it's a little screen off here to the right-hand side. You can add your phone number, which will allow you to receive text messages and reminders about processes that you might have to do, which we recommend that you do that if you have the option for that. It's a great way to stay up to date with what you need to know. Then back to the main login screen, under the menu option, you can see there's a drop-down of different options there, and a couple of them are authorization to pay charges, your conditions of award, the award screen, documents and messages, loan history, and then some additional resources. So from here, you want to make sure that you're clicking on, we'll review the authorization to pay charges first. We'll go through that. So on this screen, what this is telling you is that you need to select an option, yes or no, to authorize WU to use your federal financial aid to pay all allowable current academic year charges and up to $200 of prior year charges that might add up on your student account. So things like a parking pass. If you're planning on having a parking pass, you might want to have that put on your account and have financial aid cover that, or different library charges that might be on there, different class fees, that kind of thing. So if you say no, then you got to come up with that money separately rather than having your financial aid cover that. So we do recommend you say yes on that. And if you avoid answering that question, then it'll automatically default to no. Okay, so back to the menu screen. Then from here, you would want to click on Documents and Messages. And then in here, you can see a couple different things. So it's a list of the documents off to the left-hand side of things that might be on your account. And for this student, and actually for all students, they're going to have a loan counseling and a master promissory note that's going to be added to your account. If you decide that you want to take out loans as a student, then you need to make sure that you're completing both of those items. And you can see in this student's case, under the status column, it says not received, which means the student has not yet completed their loan entrance counseling or completed a master promissory note. Under the message column, you can click on the hyperlink there, and it'll give you some information about what you need to do to complete those requirements. Also on here, you can see that their authorization to pay charges is in a received status, so that means they've already completed that requirement. This student, because they have a student verification document, that means that their account was selected for verification by the Department of Education. About 24% of all of our students are selected for verification, which just means that they have to submit some additional documents to prove the information on their FAFSA. With our new mobile financial aid process, it's very easy and it is a really quick process for students. So we're really excited to be launching that program. And then you can see in the student's case, under the status column, it's in approved status, which means that the student has completed all the documentation and the counselor has actually processed the documentation and they're ready to go. So they're ready for an award letter at this point. If they decide that they want loans, then they need to complete the loan counseling and the master promissory note. Otherwise, the loans won't process for the student. Okay, to do a quick review of the award letter, I want to show you that for this student, they are a dependent Oregon resident student, and so that dictates the kind of information that might be on their award offer. So this student received some Oregon funding, which is because of the fact they're an Oregon resident. So in the top part where it says your financial aid package, you can see the total for the year is $16,895 on the far right column. You can also see that we divide that across the terms of attendance over fall, winter, and spring terms. So by federal regulations, we're required to disperse funds each term that the students enrolled. Then in the bottom half, you can see our cost of attendance budget, and then also the expected family contribution, or the EFC number. So the cost of attendance is a budget, and that's exactly what it is. It's just a budget number that we think that every student here at Western in this category is able to attend and go to school for the year. So this student's budget is $24,822. That was based on our 2021 year prior to us finishing our budgets, which happened recently. So in this case, this student has an on-campus housing budget, and that's the only cost of attendance item that changes by student, other than which might change tuition if they enroll in a different number of credits. We base our budget on 15 credits per term. We want to make sure that students are able to get through in 4 years. So we base the budget on the student being in attendance for 15 credits. However, 12 credits is full-time. So as long as the student is full-time, then they're going to have aid based on a full-time award. If they drop below full-time, then we are required to reduce the aid to match their enrollment level. As long as students are enrolled in half-time or more, which is 6 credits, then they remain eligible for loans. If they drop below 6 credits, then they become ineligible. Let's see. So the other part of this is the expected family contribution. So this student has total resources of 0, which means that they are expected to contribute $0 toward their education. And also their aid, based on the financial aid package listed there, is based on them having a 0 EFC. You can also see that the top portion shows $16,895 in financial aid, and the cost of attendance is $24,822. So that bottom number in the bracket below says $7,927, which is the difference between the financial aid package and the cost of attendance, which means that this student has eligibility for some additional funding if they have access to some. So, for instance, if the parents are interested, they may take out a Parent Plus loan to help fill that gap. Or perhaps the students are receiving some outside scholarships which have not been factored into this total aid package. So then we would apply that toward the total. Perhaps grandma and grandpa are helping, or there's a number of other options that the student might have. So all of that can go toward the student's education up to their total cost of attendance. And then here's a listing of some funds that we award. So Pell Grants for the 21-22 year with a 0 EFC, the students can receive $6,495. Some students who have a 0 EFC could potentially have eligibility for what's called an FSEOG, or the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. There's also work study at $3,000 for the year, and federal direct loans of $5,500. Something that you might want to know about is that as a first-year freshman student, this is a federal loan chart here, is that based on need, students may be eligible to receive up to $3,500 in subsidized loans. Subsidized loans are a need-based loan where the interest is paid while the student's in school until they go into repayment. The difference between the $3,500 and the $5,500, or $2,000, is the amount that the student would have eligibility for an unsubsidized loan. So the unsubsidized loans, the interest starts accruing from day one. And so we always recommend, if you're going to take out loans, start with the subsidized, and of course, that's what we have to do is award that one first. And then the difference of $2,000 would be added on if the student wants that. We have what's called an active confirmation process in our awarding, which says that students have to go out to their MyFinaid account on their award screen, and they have to actively select whether they accept or decline all the different types of aid that we put out there for them. So we always package the full amount of loans that students have eligibility for, and then it's up to them to decide whether they want those or not. As a second-year student or sophomore, they have eligibility for a total of $6,500, and then juniors and seniors, $7,500. So again, if students are interested in doing loans, then they would go out to studentaid.gov and complete their paperwork for doing both the master promissory note and the loan entrance counseling. And then if parents are interested in doing the Parent Plus loan, then that's where they would also go to complete that loan and complete the parent master promissory note. So the master promissory note is your agreement to repay the loan. Okay, so some steps between now and when school starts. So if you haven't already received your official award offer, watch for that in the mail. So they've gone out for new freshmen and transfer students, and we continue to do more and more of those. So if you weren't in the first round, you should be in the second round here shortly. You will also receive an email notification letting you know that you can go online and view your award letter. So you don't have to wait for the one that's coming in the mail. Then again, if you're doing loans, complete that loan entrance counseling and master promissory note and apply for a plus loan if you're wanting to do that. Okay. So the release of confidential information is for students. So if you want to have your parents call and talk to us about your student account, then you need to sign a release of confidential information form. It's your account, and we can't release your information to anybody, even if the parents are paying the bill, without your consent. So when you log into the portal, there'll be a section for financial aid forms, and you can look for that form in that section online. Our form allows you to release information for both financial aid and for the business office, so you can submit just the one form for both offices. If you're interested in having an appointment with one of our counseling staff, you can book an appointment online. And you would, again, log into the portal, wou.edu/portal, click on the WCS icon shown here, and then click on Get Support. Under there, you would select financial aid, and then you could pick whether you want to do a phone appointment or a virtual appointment with one of our counselors. And then some other considerations is that you need to be paying attention to your enrollment level. So again, if you drop below full-time enrollment, we will be revising your aid, and you need to make sure that you're kind of aware of that. By the second Friday of each term, we lock your enrollment and we revise your aid. So we disperse funds before the term begins so that you have access to your money to pay rent, to buy books, to pay for fuel if you need to, for driving, so that you have the ability to then begin school when the school begins. But if you change your enrollment after we've dispersed your aid, we have to revise your aid. And we do that on the second Friday of each term. So by the third week, if you've, for some reason, maybe dropped a class because you decided, I'm not ready for this class, I want to take something different, you have the first week to change with 100% refund and add something else. But if you don't get the other classes added back in by the second Friday, then we have to revise your aid. So just be aware of that. The other thing to know about is satisfactory academic progress. You need to make sure that you're completing each term and the end of the year when we do our SAP evaluation, that you're completing with a 2.0 GPA and that you're completing 2/3 of your classes. So we run our satisfactory academic progress at the end of spring term each year. And also just make sure that you're checking your email year-round, because we never send spam. So anything that comes out of our office is important information, and it's stuff that you need to know about. And then any questions for us, you can contact us at finaid@wou.edu. You can go to our website, wou.edu/finaid. We have a lot of information out there online that might help answer your questions. And of course, you can call us at 503-838-8475. And then I'll also be available after the session in the office next to the lobby. So come see me if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kayla. And now I'll invite to join me at the front is Tina Fuchs. Will be giving an overview of university housing and dining. And I kind of think about my experience as an undergraduate at Western Oregon. I lived in university housing the entire time I was a student, absolutely loved it. So I can thank Tina and the team from University Housing for a phenomenal experience. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Tina so she can prepare you for those next steps and what we think will be, for those of you that be living in university housing, a phenomenal experience just like I had. Tina, take it away.
Thanks, Rob. Welcome to Western. I know you've already been welcomed by several other folks, but it's good to see people here in the room, and those people watching on live stream, thank you for being here today. As Rob said, my name is Tina Fuchs. I serve as the Associate Vice President and Dean of Students, and most importantly for today's session, the Director of Housing. And I'll be covering information about university housing, some little nuggets of information that will be helpful for you to know as you prepare for fall term. Let me first start with talking about our first-year live-in requirement. Here at Western Oregon University, we require first-year students to live on campus. For those of you in the room, you likely didn't travel very far, so you might be considering maybe living at home and commuting. We do allow and offer a waiver for students who are living within 30 miles of campus to request a waiver and live at home. Although we do have a number of people who live on campus who are from the local community. But more importantly, let me explain why we require first-year students to live on campus. So first of all, first-year students, as defined by university housing, are students who enroll at Western within 1 year of their high school graduation. So that's what a first-year student is. Some of you may be coming in with college credits already, might already be of sophomore level status. But in our minds, you are still a first-year student. There's been a lot of research done on first-year students and living on campus versus living off campus. And the research has been very clear that our first-year students who live on campus tend to carry a higher class load than their peers who live off campus. That translates into graduating earlier. So think about that, graduating sooner, either early or on time. First-year students who live on campus get involved in more activities, and that just makes sense because there are activities happening right outside of your residence hall room door on a regular basis. So it's very easy for students who live on campus to be involved in activities. It's also found that students who live on campus their first year maintain higher GPAs throughout the course of their time at the university. They graduate with a higher frequency. They don't tend to stop out. They tend to continue their academics through the time that they graduate from high school. And they make friends. And that's just pretty obvious because students who are living on campus are living in a community and developing relationships and meeting new friends, meeting new people. And those friends become lifelong friends. And I shared with the group previously that some of my closest friends are friends that I met in college. And I still talk with them today and spend time with them today. Before I get into a lot of the details of what to expect from housing, it's really important for us that we share with you what our core values are in housing. And they're all centered around community. If we have developed a community for students living on campus, then all of these other values are happening. They're taking place. We're communicating with our students and helping our students learn how to communicate with each other. We are an inclusive community. If our community is what it's supposed to be, then everyone feels as though they're a member of the community, feels a sense of belonging to that community. We have opportunities for students to be learning within their community. You don't just live in the residence halls, you also learn. And we see the residence halls as an extension of the classroom where your academic work can still happen. We have staff in our residence halls who provide support to our students and offer that, the peer support that is necessary for students who are coming to school. Sustainability is a very important core value for us, and we do a lot of work around making sure that our buildings are sustainable, that our programs and activities are sustainable. And then, of course, wellness. That's an important component of just being a human and feeling a sense of wellness for yourself, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of the wellness tied up into that. So these are our core values. If they're happening, then if our community development has happened, then all of these come into play. So space configurations for fall. A year ago at this time, we were trying to figure out how are we going to house students in the middle of a pandemic. It seemed like a huge challenge, and what were we going to do? And so for the most part, in our residence halls this year, we have offered, I would say, mostly singles. We have very, very, very few double rooms or roommate situations because we didn't know what the space needs were going to be for our students. We've learned a lot this year. And so we are anticipating more roommates than single rooms. We're anticipating more double rooms than single rooms based on, one, our experience, but two, the demand from our students about what they want to see in our residence halls. So know that up front, that we are creating more doubles than we had this year, but we're not in the situation where we're going to have our more traditional layout in our residence halls, because we still know that we need to provide those space options for our students. So this might come as a surprise to some folks here and on live stream who've been studying the residence halls and wondering, where am I going to live in the fall? To start, as we look at our numbers and we look at occupancy, we are going to make Heritage Hall and Ackerman Hall our buildings that are available to students based on demand, based on space configurations. We're starting with Heritage and Ackerman Hall. So when you go in to select your room space this summer, unless our numbers drastically change, you'll have options for housing in Heritage Hall and Ackerman Hall. If our numbers change and we see more demand, then we'll look at opening Barnum Hall and Landers Hall. So those of you who are counting on, I really wanted to be in Barnum or I really wanted to be in Landers, when you go to select your space, if those buildings aren't available at the time, we ask that you choose a space in Ackerman or Heritage Hall, and then you'll send an email to the housing office requesting to be put on a waiting list for Barnum Hall or Landers Hall. And that's how we're going to manage it. And as we need to open up space this summer, then we'll contact you if we open one of these buildings, if it's actually your first choice, and let you know that we've moved you to a different building. But we're going to start with that and see how it goes. For students who are listening in that are transfer students, students who are here who are transfer students, we'll be housing you in either Arbor Park or Ackerman Hall. And again, you'll go through the same process that I described to our first-year students of choosing a space in one of those buildings. And again, if space allows, if numbers allow, we'll open Barnum Hall for our transfer students. I do want to highlight that in Ackerman Hall, we do have a transfer floor that's specific to transfer students. So if that is of interest to you to live with other transfer students your first year on campus, by all means, make that request. And then those students who may potentially be coming with a family, maybe you have a spouse or a partner or a child, a dependent. We do have a few family housing options on campus. They're in high demand. We have limited availability, but that doesn't mean you can't apply for family housing and get on the list to potentially access one of our apartments in our family housing. Amenities. We have lots of amenities on campus, and one that isn't on the screen, but I've referred to a couple of times, is our residence hall staff. Parents, you're going to be dropping off your child and thinking, who am I leaving them with? Every community has a resident assistant. It's an upper division student who helps guide the community and provide support to the community. So they're not alone. But in addition to that, we have high-speed internet on campus. You can hardwire in, or you can use our wireless access points in our residence halls. We have laundry facilities, and when I was in college, the best gift I would get from people was a roll of quarters, because the quarters helped me do my laundry. You don't need quarters, you don't need a card. Laundry is built into your room and board rates, and so you have access to washers and dryers at no money out of pocket, except for the money you use to buy the soap to do your laundry. So I highly encourage soap. We don't provide that, but the laundry facilities are available to you at no cost. We have our own version of Netflix on campus called Res Life Cinema, and there's about 600 movie titles that are available to students, and they're dispersed throughout the year. So we start with a little over 200, and then it builds from there. And some new releases that are released even before they get out on Netflix and other media. So that's free to students who live on campus. You can watch movies on campus. You don't have access to it off campus. We have an awesome residential computing program on campus where we provide support to our students for whatever reason. If you're having a hardware issue or software issue, you can't print that final paper you need to turn in, these folks can help you with that. And it's a service that our off-campus students really wish they had and wish they had access to, but they don't pay for it as part of their room and board. So it's only available to residence hall students who live on campus. And then this is good news. You do not take the refrigerator and microwave off your graduation list of gifts you might want, because every room has a refrigerator and a microwave. You don't have to bring that. Again, it's a part of your room and board payment, so you don't have to pay anything out of pocket. Campus dining. We have one dining hall on campus called Balset's Dining Hall. And under normal circumstances, we have multiple concepts available for students to order food from when they come to the dining hall. They're listed here on the screen. Stir-fry station, we have a bakery, sushi, we offer freshly made sushi every day. A grill, a pizza, a sensible food station that's really about a cost-effective, well-rounded meal that's served at that location. And in our dining hall, we have a variety of dietary options available to students. If you have dietary restrictions and you're not sure how the menu is going to work for you, you can always contact our dining staff and they'll help you plan a menu that works for you. Our meal plans are set up like a debit card is probably the best way to describe it. You will have your meal dollars loaded at the beginning of each term onto your card, and your balance will decline as you spend your money in the dining hall. So one thing that we ask that you do is pay attention to your balance. Treat it like you would your checking account in, like your debit card, and know how much money you have. Your balances will carry over term to term, but they do not carry over at the end of the year. So there's no sense in like hoarding your meal dollars till the end, because it's not like we're going to give you a check that for the leftover dollars on your plan. Students who live on campus receive a 30% discount on food prepared in the dining hall. Packaged items are not discounted, but any food prepared in the dining hall, you get a discount. If you start to run out of dollars as the term goes on, you can add money to your card. And here's what I would ask you to do is pay attention to that balance. And I've oftentimes used like the week around Thanksgiving to monitor your balance. Where's my balance at? Have I already been depositing money onto my plan? Do I have a lot of money on my plan? It's a good time to evaluate that and maybe make an adjustment to your meal plan for the next term. You'll choose your meal plan when you go to sign your contract in August. That's when you'll get to select the meal plan that's right for you. So you have time to do some research and figure out what's going to work best for your situation. So reserving your space. We started accepting housing reservations October 1. And we're still accepting housing reservations. So if you haven't turned your housing reservation in, there's no time like the present to take care of that task. If you're on our list, you will receive an email in June explaining the housing selection process and other important information that you will want to know for the summer. July 5th, we activate what is called My College Roomie, which is like a Match.com situation, but for roommates. And so you'll fill out your profile, and then once you submit it, you'll have access to others' profiles. And you'll be able to swipe through and look at other profiles and see if there's somebody compatible with you that you might want to room with if you don't already know who you might want to room with. We want you to complete your housing reservation by July 22nd so that you can be a part of room selection. And the My College Roomie program will be available from July 5th through to July 25th for you to try to connect with a roommate. And then July 25th, that's when room selection begins. And that's where you get to select your own room. When I went to college, I was lucky I knew just where I was going. I didn't know what building I was living in. I didn't know anything about what was going to happen for me. Things have come a long way to where now when you go in to select your space, you're actually choosing a room in a residence hall. So if you want to be in Heritage Hall 238 and that room is available, there you go, Heritage Hall 238. So you'll know your exact room before you come to campus. This is a slide that you might want to take a screenshot of or take a picture of, but this is a link to our selection timeline. It's worth maybe looking at and studying what to expect over the course of the summer. And like I said, we'll send you an email letting you know what's coming. But if you wanted to go and look at that at some point later on, take a screenshot of this and then you have access to it at some point, okay? And then finally, where to find us, because eventually you will get to come to campus and actually take tours. And we're really excited. I heard Rob say earlier that our plan is to give residence hall tours after graduation in June. So we'll have our halls available for you to walk through and take a look at after our students move out. Our office is located, the University Housing Office is located in Ackerman Hall on the first level. Our dining office is located in the dining hall. And our residential computing center, which is also where our mailboxes are for students to access their mail, is on the other side of the building in the Valset's dining hall. But that's where you can find us. We look forward to having you visit us this summer and take a tour and take a look at what's going on here on campus. And that is it for my slideshow. And as others have mentioned, I'll be available for questions. I'm in a room like right on the other side of this wall. So if you have questions about housing or dining, feel free to stop by my room and ask.
Thank you so much, Tina.
You're welcome.
So we have had our presentations, and now we're going to be moving into our current student panel. So we actually have 3 current students that are going to be here to answer questions, share their perspectives. So I know that Cheyenne will be moderating that conversation. So she'll be stationed at a microphone directly behind one of the cameras. So for students that are and their families that are participating via live stream, you'll hear Cheyenne's voice, but you won't necessarily see her. And then we'll have Priscilla and Moshe that'll be here at these stations. So I'm going to turn it over to the experts in terms of the student experience, our current students. Folks, why don't you come on up front or to Cheyenne, your station, directly behind one of the cameras. Thank you so much.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Cheyenne. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a current student here. I serve as one of the student coordinators for our campus ambassadors and new student orientation teams. I am studying a major in American Sign Language / English Interpreting Studies with a minor in psychology, and I am from Grants Pass, Oregon. And with that mouthful, I'm super excited to be here moderating this panel with 2 of our lovely student leaders, and I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Moshe Martinez. I am a second year here at Western. I'm a computer science major and a Spanish minor. I'm part of the campus ambassador team here at the university, and also a part of the Plus Team orientation team. So you might see me around here on campus a lot. And I'm originally from Independence, Oregon, so I'm pretty close. I live about 10 minutes away. Yeah, I'm excited to be here today and talk and answer any questions.
Hi everyone, my name is Priscilla España. I'm double majoring in public policy and administration in Spanish, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm from Medford, Oregon, and I'm part of the Plus team here on campus, which is our orientation leaders. And also excited to be here and answer any questions you all might have about campus life.
Yeah, thank you both for all of your introductions. So we'll go ahead and hop into our questions. And my first question for you is, why did you choose Western?
I'll go ahead and answer first. So the reason why I chose Western is, primarily because of the community here. And the way I like to kind of explain that is when you come here, you feel like you know people and you feel like you can really get connected on campus. The size of the campus is kind of, right in the middle. It's not too big, it's not too small. And you can really, find a lot of different students here, from different backgrounds, from different locations. And that's something that I found really important. So I wanted to make sure that I had, a diverse experience here at the university and to kind of meet new people and kind of, learn, not only in the classroom, but outside and doing things. Coming, living so close to the university, I knew about Western growing up, and I always saw that they were really involved in the community, and also just kind of the students there. They would show themselves, not just on campus, but everywhere else. And to me, I thought that was super important, the way that Western students portrayed themselves. And that's pretty much why I came here, because I knew that there would be opportunity for me to grow, to join programs where I could meet new students and gain leadership skills, and also to be able to study what I wanted to study, computer science.
So I'm from Medford, Oregon, like I said, which is about 4 hours south of here. And so choosing Western for me, I really wanted to attend a school where I could feel independent but still be close to home. And I had visited Western a few times during high school because I was part of the speech and debate program on back at my high school. And Western actually hosts the tournament. And I really loved the campus. And so when I applied here, I also applied to their honors program. And so when it came time to deciding what college I wanted to attend, I think that's really what was a deciding factor for me. The honors program offers a lot of really great resources. So one is that you get a scholarship for being in the honors program, which for me that was something that I was really prioritizing was financial aid. And in the end, Western ended up being the best financial option for me. But then paired with the academics, it was just, I think, the perfect fit. Because of the honors program, I've gotten a lot of really awesome opportunities. And then a really cool thing about that too is that your senior year you get to write a thesis, and so I'm definitely excited about that. And so great academics and great financial aid is just kind of what drew me to the school.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your very detailed answers. That was awesome. So you had mentioned a little bit earlier some of the things that you were involved with, but I would love to hear some of the activities and leadership positions that you've been involved with on campus and kind of your experiences with those.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I'm on the PLUS team, which is a group of orientation leaders who work with incoming students during those first few weeks of the fall term and during the summer. I'm also a campus ambassador, so I help students learn more about the university, give tours, be on panels like this one. And aside from those leadership positions, I am a coordinator for the Multicultural Representatives Program, and that's a program designed for students who receive the Diversity Scholarship, the Bilingual Teacher Scholarship, and who apply to be on the On-Track program. So as a coordinator for that position, I work in pairing students who are in that program with mentors, and so we have a team of upper class mentors who we train throughout the summer to really help students feel comfortable on campus and, to kind of give them someone to be able to talk to ask, quick questions, whether it be like, hanging out for a cup of coffee or just asking a question about where this resource is. That's what the mentors are for. I am also a part of the WU Men's Soccer Club. So that's something that when I came here, I wanted to stay involved with sports, and we have a wide variety of different club sports and intramural sports. But I like to, focus my time on playing on the men's soccer club team. And I'm also a tutor for the Upward Bound program. So I help students who are studying at the high school nearby.
So I've been pretty lucky and have been able to get involved in quite a few things on campus. I started first with hall government my freshman year. So that was really cool. We got to plan a lot of residence hall activities, which was a great experience and introduction into leadership. In addition to that, another really great thing if you're interested in being involved more on campus is Discover Leadership. It's sort of like a 6-week course seminar, but it's really laid back, and basically you just develop a lot of leadership skills and get to meet a ton of people who have similar interests as you. And it's more like a club, but you attend these classes, and then at the end of it you get to go on a retreat, which is really fun. So that's kind of what introduced me first to campus leadership. And so because of that, I was able to do things like PLUS Team, which is our orientation student leaders team. And so that's been really fun and something that I look forward to doing every summer now. And then my main job, currently I work as a student tutoring coordinator for the Upward Bound program. And so through Upward Bound, we work with local high schoolers in Dallas and Independence. And so because of that job, I've been able to plan a lot of virtual events and virtual programs for the high schoolers, and so that's been really fun and something I enjoy and I'm lucky that I get to do.
We are so blessed to have such fantastic student leaders working in these positions. Y'all are so great. Okay, so I want to ask a few questions about living on campus. So what has been or is your favorite part about living on campus?
So last year I was able to live in Ackerman Hall, which is one of the residence halls on campus. And the thing that I really enjoyed about living on campus was just being able to go to class, go to events, and just, be able to walk just 5 minutes to get to where I need to. It was so nice to not For me personally, I'm someone who struggles trying to be on time to things, and whether it be like walking or driving to places, I'm always tending to be on the late side. So just having it so where I could go right before an event starts and make it on time was super helpful, and it also allowed me to do events on campus. I could hear about an event like 15 minutes before it started, and be able to be there. And as we'll talk about later, I really kind of met people and had those experiences that I really enjoyed through those different kind of events. So being able to be on campus, have people living in the residence halls with me, and be able to make friends that way, those are some of the things that I really enjoyed about living on campus.
Yeah, so similar to Moshe, some of my favorite memories from living on campus was getting to meet my roommate. So earlier you all heard a little bit about my college roomie, and that's actually how I met my roommate, which was really great. And she was from California, and so it was just a ton of fun having had talked to her over the summer and then coming to campus not knowing anyone, but knowing that I had her. So that was really awesome. We got to attend a lot of New Student Week events together. And so that was my favorite part about living on campus, was just having my roommate and then being able to make other connections in the residence halls. And so I also lived in Ackerman, Best Hall. And so I don't know, I just really enjoyed it there. And then this year I live in the Arbor Park Apartments, which is a great option if you're an upperclassman. Definitely recommend living there if you're interested. And as Moshe was saying, it's just great being able to wake up 5 minutes before class and still be there on time.
Awesome. And so kind of tagging along with that, what is your top residence hall room essential that you would recommend students bring?
I'd say for me, it's kind of depending. Maybe you wouldn't need it, but I think what I really liked to bring was my own computer and have my own laptop there. So there are different labs on campuses, and just like the library has computers there, and there are computers all across the campus. But having my own computer and being able to work, in my room or work in one of the study lounges in my residence hall, that was something that I found really helpful to have. Of course, if that's not a possibility, there are always resources that are there to help students who need like a Chromebook or a computer throughout their classes. That's really kind of, for me, the most important piece of equipment that I had in my room. Besides, having some other stuff like food and water, that's always nice to have to snack on while you're studying.
For me, so one of the cool things about living in the residence halls is you can heighten your bed, and so that gives you extra storage space. And so I had mine to the highest level that you can put it at so that I could keep it for storage. But it was too tall for me, and so having a step stool was like really great for me so that I could get on my bed and get off my bed really easily. So definitely an essential if you're on the shorter side. Definitely recommend getting a step stool. One that folds is great too, because you can just slide it under your bed and take it out, and yeah, that would be my for sure essential.
Those are fantastic recommendations. Okay, so transitioning into a little bit of a different topic. So how do class structure and homework differ in college in comparison to high school?
So when it comes to the differences between the high school and the college classwork, it's a lot more of self-reliance and self-dependency when it comes to college work. And what I mean by that is like you will likely be doing your own kind of homework and your own studying skills. So often in high school, it's more like you're given an assignment and you know exactly how to do it, how to exactly study, do this and that. In college, sometimes you have to not only do the homework, but like look at other resources, find the resources. And that's a skill that you develop because in the real world, you often have to make those kind of choices, what do I study, how do I study? And that's a really good skill to develop. So professors like to, make it so that students can have the resources they need to do, but also you need to make sure that you, can work past just the instructions given. And the other thing I think is that you'll spend more time doing homework outside than inside the classroom. So classroom is a time where you can go to ask questions, talk to the professors. The professors will give lessons, but you will do a lot of, learning outside of the classroom as well. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between high school and college. You'll be doing a lot more learning outside of the classroom than in high school, where there's, periods from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. or however it is. So a plus to that is that you spend less time in classes, and then with that time, you just have to allocate it for homework.
Yeah, so how much I was saying, I would say it's definitely a lot more relaxed. In high school, you're used to having like a 7-8 period day, whereas in college, you have like maybe one class every day. Usually like Fridays, most people don't have any classes at all, which is pretty nice. And then another really great thing is that you get to choose when you want your classes usually. So you can choose not to take 8 a.m.s and have your earliest class start at 10 a.m. And so that's really nice. You just get more liberty. And then one thing to note too is there's a lot of, at least in the course that I've taken for my major, a lot of group work. And so whereas in high school, usually like those groups, you get to pick your friends. You can still do that in college, but I feel like typically it's assigned groups. And so with that, there has to be a lot of like self-drive to find times to work with your group members and stuff like that. And so that's something that's definitely challenged me a little bit, is being like sometimes the first one to step up and set up a meeting or something like that. So I'd say like group work and just having like more liberty is what really sets apart high school classes and college classes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tagging along off of that, what are some tips for interacting with professors in comparison to high school teachers?
I'd say, tips for interacting. Number one is to actually interact, because in high school, teachers often reach out to you, let you know what you're missing, when it's due, or they ask you like, how can I better help you? In college, those things are still there for you, but you have to be the one to ask. So you have to be the one to reach out to your professor and say, can I meet with you during your office hours? Can you help me with this problem? And the professors will be able to help you, but they won't know that you need help unless you let them know. And so I always think it's best to establish a good relationship, at the beginning of the term with your professor. Try to, pay attention on the syllabus, read the syllabus. What do they say? What is their class about? You can kind of gain some of their style of teaching. And that way you know how they like to communicate. Some professors might be super laid back, and you can send them, perhaps a text message. That could be something for some professors. Others, they want you to send them an email or message them through Canvas, which is how we conduct the courses here at Western. But really, making sure you understand the information they've given to you, so that they're not repeating themselves, because no one really likes to repeat themselves. But they're more than happy to help you. So that's how I would go about it.
My number one tip for interacting with your professor would be to make sure you really thoroughly read the syllabus. Because how much I was saying, different professors have different ways that they want to communicate with you. And so making sure that you're reading the syllabus and know if you should be sending them an email, if you should be sending them a text, that kind of thing. And then usually they'll have their office hours on there. And so office hours are an opportunity for you to visit the professor when they're in their office, to discuss any work, ask questions, or even just sometimes to chat. So generally say recommend reading the syllabus, making note of their office hours, and if you're ever stuck on an essay or have a question about some homework assignment, make sure you go to those office hours, also so that they know that you're invested in their course and in your work that you do as a student. And that's just a really great way to make connections and have them know who you are as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so what do I do if I don't know what I want to major in, or if I want to change my major?
So the first thing I like to tell students when they come and ask that question is, first off, it's okay to change your major, to not exactly know what you want to do, because it happens, and it happens probably more often than you think. But when you're kind of deciding, if you're not sure what you want to do, there are resources that can help you. So we have the Student Success and Advising Center. That's one resource that helps with general advising for students who might be under the category exploratory, which means you don't have a assigned major yet, but you're still working with your classes. And so they will help you. They will ask you kind of questions on what exactly do you like to do, what interests you. And so that's what you would do if you don't know what to do. But let's say you have a start and you're starting with, biology, and you say, oh, biology is not, exactly for me. You can also go to your major advisor, which is the faculty that's assigned to you when you enter into the major program. You can talk to them about it, and you can say, this is why I'm, not necessarily interested in that. And then they can tell you, if it's, a good idea to maybe switch to something similar, or maybe if maybe you just had a tough class and it's not going to always be like that. But the important thing to know is that it's okay to not know exactly what to do. But, you just got to reach out and find those people that can, guide you in the right path.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great answer, so I don't have too much more to add. But the only thing I would say is, so when you apply to Western, usually you pick a major. And just know that you're not confined to that major when you come to Western. You can always change. And so Moshe outlined some really great resources like the Student Success and Advising Center. So that's actually what I did. I started off as a communications major. That's what I put on my application. I took a class and I was like, this is definitely not what I want to do. And so within like the first week, I think I went to the Student Success Advising and they helped me look at other majors. And so I changed my major within the first week of classes. So definitely that would just be my tip, is don't feel like the major that you register with at Western is the major that you have to stick with for the next 4 years. There's a ton of resources to help you find what you want to do. And so just know that you're also not alone in being undecided or not sure what you want to major in.
Yeah, great tips, great advice, and wonderful resources that y'all are sharing with our students today. Okay, we've got 2 more questions for you. So the first one is, how do you balance your academics, work, and extracurricular activities?
Personally, for me, I use Google Calendar or any type of calendaring system. It doesn't have to be Google Calendar. But I like that system just because it's online. I can carry it with me on different devices. And so that I can see, what I have to do. And then I can also prioritize that. So I might have, my classes, I got to go to those. And then I have my study times, I got to do those. And then there's, activities in there as well. And then I can kind of get a broad look at, maybe my whole week. Do I have time to go to this activity, or should I focus on, studying? Another really helpful tip that I have is to make sure you write down all the things you have to do somewhere. For me, I use a little notepad, and I write, my assignments down there, and then I label them, prioritize them using a letter system. So like A is, the stuff I need to work on first. B is the one that I should do after all the A's have been done. That's been really helpful for me to just balance school work. And then Google Calendar, the calendar is really helpful for balancing, all the other, positions and things I do with, the time I allocate for school. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, I also use Google Calendar, and that's definitely what I recommend everyone start using when they come to college. I didn't use it in high school, and now I seriously can't imagine how I would be able to work if I didn't have Google Calendar. So that's definitely my recommendation, and I feel like a lot of on-campus organizations use it as well, and so definitely become familiar with it. If you aren't already, it's going to be, I think, really helpful in your success in college. And then in addition to that, so I'm a public policy major, and so I am constantly writing papers. And so something I think that helps me keep myself accountable in writing those papers is making appointments with the Writing Center. Not only is that a great resource because then they can check my work, but it's also like, I have to have something to show them. And so that'd definitely be one of my tips. If you're a STEM major, we also have a science tutoring center and then a math tutoring center as well. And so I think like sometimes making those appointments or having that in mind, like, tomorrow I'm going to visit the drop-in hours, so that you have something for them to show or to show them, I think really helps in keeping yourself accountable. And then also another great way to keep yourself accountable is by making like study groups and like study sessions with other people. That's a great way to balance, I would say, like work and then a little bit of social life as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so this last question is kind of a combination of the two that I think y'all can handle together. So what is something you wish you would have known as an incoming student, and or what advice would you give to an incoming student?
So one of my kind of number one pieces of advice for students that are kind of going into that transition, like maybe it's the summer before or the few weeks leading up to college, it can be kind of maybe an intimidating, stressful experience. If you're from far away, you might have never lived far away from home before, or if maybe you're just stressed about the workload or the things you've heard about college. And so the thing I like to tell new students is that college is really a different experience for everyone, and it's kind of what you make it that really makes it unique. So you might hear things, about college. I remember when I was, the summer before or my senior year of high school, I would hear things like college is super hard. Or I would also hear college is actually kind of easy. I would hear things like, you'll be super busy in college. Then I'd hear things like, oh, no, you'll have a lot of free time. And so it was kind of, intimidating and hard to read, people when they were telling me different things. And so when I finally came here and realized what it was bits and pieces from what people had told me, but also it was really not like what people had told me. And the reason it was like that is because it really is unique to everyone who comes here, and it's kind of how you approach it. It can be a lot of work, but if you're passionate about what you do and you just really focus and prioritize, it's not that bad. And so I like to tell students, just prepare yourself, but don't stress yourself. So you can get ready for college, but don't make it so that you're stressing about it.
Something I wish I would have known coming into Western is that I was going to have a ton of resources and I wasn't going to be alone. So one of the things so I felt like I had prepared a lot for college in high school, but then coming on campus, I realized there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And so that was kind of overwhelming, but over the summer, like my senior year, I was awarded a diversity scholarship, which is one of our more popular scholarships here on campus. And I didn't realize how many resources would come with that scholarship, and so I was given a mentor who was an upperclassman, and then I also had an academic advisor. And so that was really great, just having those people and those resources there. If I had any questions, if I didn't know something, I could always go to them. And so that was really helpful because I didn't realize I would have so many resources for myself, being first generation. So that was really great, is just knowing that there's a ton of resources here on campus to help you. And if you're struggling, there's people who are more than happy and willing to help you out.
Awesome. Well, that is all the questions I have for you. Thank you both so much for being here and answering those so poetically. We really appreciate it. And with that will be the end of our panel portion, and we will give you an update on what's coming next. But this is just about the conclusion of our program today. So sit tight, and we'll get you an update quickly about how we're going to wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I was just making sure that all my colleagues were ready for you in their respective meeting spaces. So first of all, for our students and their families that are joining us via live stream, thank you so much for joining us today. And if any of the areas can help you in your path to Western, let us know. For our families and students that are here in person, once again, we do have financial aid available, student success and advising, housing, dining, and myself, the admissions office is open. Our current students will be available if you want to chat with them, if you have questions or things you want to follow up with. I'd really like to acknowledge also just my colleagues that have made this a reality today in terms of the live stream, as well as my colleagues who've done the interpreting today. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your contributions to this event. So folks, we'll let you get up and move, stretch your legs, use the restroom, connect with folks. We do have yard signs available, some other goodies over on these tables if you haven't visited those yet. There are some refreshments still available if you want to grab those. If you need a soda for the road, water, a cookie, whatever, we want you to take those. But once again, congratulations on your admission. Thank you for joining us this evening. And with that, we'll go ahead and conclude our reception. Thank you so much.